Hello everyone, welcome to this is the fifth and final video on the collection framework. And this one is going to be about maps. Now, something that I can't emphasize enough is that officially, technically, a map is not part of the collection frameworks, but it makes sense to talk about it at the same time because it is also an object that is going to allow us to store other objects. Now, the way a map works is that it's going to be a set of key value pairs. I'm going to break that down a little bit. So when I say a set, yes, I mean a set liking a set. It's going to be a collection that doesn't have any duplicate entries. And when I say key value pairs, I do mean that I'm going to have a pair where one of them is going to be a key or a keyword, and then I'm going to have some sort of value. A good example to understand what a map is think of your phone directory, at least the old school kind of one. So you have for a name Amilcar, and you have a phone number 083 something. Or you have, for example, the next person Graham and his phone number. So in this case, their key being Amilcar or Graham and their value are associated one to each other. And one of the things that I have with a map is that I won't have any duplicate entries. So Graham can only have one value. Now, this is pretty much the idea. One of the important things in here is that because it is a set of key value pairs, the order is not relevant because it is a set. In the set, the order is irrelevant. And exactly the same thing happens in here. But what it is important is that all my keys are properly identified and that they are unique. Now, another perfect example of when we use maps in computing programming is JSON objects. JSON objects, they are sets of key value pairs. So I have a set of a key for a particular thing, and then I have a given value. So if you have any questions on that one about JSON object, let me know and I can show you some examples of JSON files. Now, again, there is no index, so the index is not relevant, and the order is not relevant in this case. So I have a couple of implementations of that, so we can have the hash map, the tree map, and the hash tables. So let's take a look at how we implement this in Java. So in this case, I have, again, just a blank Java class with the main method in there. I don't have anything in there. So I can go and say, for example, map, and this is where things are going to be very, very interesting. So in all of my collections, I need to define the type of object that I'm going to have. In the case of the map, I need to define what is the type of object of the key and what is the type of object of the value, because they both can have some sort of any type of type. So I can define the key as an integer or as a string or as an instance of the person class. It really doesn't matter. And then the same thing happens with the value. The value can have any type. So I'm just going to define a map in here that will have a string as a key and will have an integer as a value. So I'm calling map string integer. My map is equals to a new hash map with the same attributes or the same characteristics. So a string for the key, an integer for the value. So of course that is missing the imports. I just bring the imports in. And now my map is ready to use. So there is nothing in there, it is empty, but I can start adding a couple elements into the map. Now, remember, when I'm adding elements to a collection, I use the method add, but maps are not part of the collection framework. So the name of the method is slightly different, but it has the same idea. So instead of saying add, I need to say put. When I'm putting a new value into the map, I need to define which one is the key and which one is the value. So for example, I can say the key is Amilcar, and the value would be 23. That is my age. And I can do that a couple of times. So for example, I can add Amilcar, let's say Carol, let's say Fernanda, and let's say Kathy, and let's give them some different values. So 21, 45, and 11. So if I print that map, system.out.println my map, let's see what we get. So you can see that my map will have a different key value pairs. My key Kathy has the value 11 associated. My key Carol has the value 21 associated. Again, notice that the order is not relevant because it is a set of key value pairs. And notice that I don't have any index. So if I want to access a particular value, there is a couple of things that you can do. So you can go and say system.out.println, for example, and I can go from my map that you can get an object from the key. So if I know the key, I can go and get that object. So for example, my map.get, and the key would be, for example, Amilcar. So if I run that, I should be able to get the value associated to the key Amilcar. Lovely. The other thing that I can do with the map, I can do several things with the map. But suppose you want to add another. Suppose you want to add another Amilcar in there. So let's see what happens. So if I add another Amilcar, and I'm just going to put a different value, 46, for example, and run it. So what that is doing is overriding the value that already exists. Because remember, I cannot have duplicate entries. So I cannot have two Amilcars because my keys have to be unique. So if you put another put, then what that is going to do is going to look for the Amilcar that already exists, and it's going to override the value. In this case, 23 has been replaced by 46. If I want to remove elements, I can remove elements from the key. So for example, I can say my map that remove, and if you have the key, you can remove the element. For example, I can remove Kathy, and let's see how that works. I'm going to print the map before and after. So there it is before Kathy is there, after Kathy is not there because it has been removed. Okay, well, that was it. We've seen all 4 types of collections, although map is not technically a collection, but it's also an object that allows me to store all the objects. I would invite you to play a little bit. The full code that I've done today in these classes is going to be available in Moodle, and play with that. Take a look at the different methods that each one of the collection has, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.